Great, we are live. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me on this GCSE Geography Paper 2 live stream. Are you as excited as I am? I don't think you are. I love geography. Geography's great. And human geography is interesting, relevant for life. Anyone coming from the Spanish live stream, hola, ¿cómo estás? Thank you for joining on the last one. The geography live stream was super requested, so hopefully I'm going to make this as useful as I can for you all. I'm keeping an eye on the comments. So any questions, keep them coming in. If you're watching this after the stream, speed me up to like ×2 because it's a much more enjoyable experience for you, because too much journal is a lot to deal with. And hopefully this will be a good stream. So what are we going to do? Firstly, I'm going to run over what to expect in paper 2, what the different sections are. I'm going to go over some general exam tips. That was Stephen. He was in one of the streams before. He should have said hey. Sorry about the lag. The Wi-Fi is not great in this dingy room I'm in. And so we'll go over some tips for the exam. Then people have been asking to go over predicted papers and case studies. So that's what we're going to be doing. I've got some of the Seneca predicted papers that we're going to go through. We're going to go over how you bring case studies into your answer, how to structure your answers, and how to have a good time, in summary. And yes, if you're wondering, I have the gong, which I still love. It might wear old. I don't know. If it does, let me know. I'll get a new percussive instrument, maybe a djembe. That's a nice kind of drum. So what are we going to do? So firstly, I'm just going to go over some generic stuff for paper 2. Now, paper 2 has got 3 sections, and it's human geography. So section A is about 33 marks. You need to answer all of the questions. Section B, 30 marks, all questions. And then section C, there's going to be question 3, which you have to answer. And then you're going to choose one question from 4, 5, or 6 on like food, energy, and that kind of stuff. It's a 90-minute paper, and there are 88 marks. So a really good way to manage your timing is you want to be spending about 1 minute per mark. And then you'll have 2 minutes at the end to chill, maybe get like a frappuccino or something like that. So really watch your timing here and try and do it a minute mark. So be aware of your timing. Other points, some of the questions you're going to get assessed on your spelling and grammar, and they're worth 3 marks. They're highlighted in the mark scheme, so look out for them. So just make sure in those questions in particular, you're writing in full sentences, you are using the correct grammar, and you're using specialist terms. To get those 3 marks, you need to be using specialist geography terms. So fun. So we're going to go over some example questions, but before we get going, one of the key mistakes that a lot of students make in the geography exam is not reading the command word questions properly. So whenever you're reading a question, make sure you know what the question word is asking you. So compare and contrast means you need to connect phrases. So you want to be using words like whereas, however, that kind of thing. If a question asks you to compare, talk about the similarities and the differences. If you need to describe, you never need to use the word because if you are doing a describe question. If it is an explain question, boom, that is when you get that because in there. For discuss, that's like a debate. So it's like you're having a coffee with someone and you're like, well, like I think this, but I also think this. Maybe it could be this. How about this? That's what discuss is, right? It's like you're having a little discussion in some kind of coffee shop or like whatever. So that was just a very quick run through of the question words. I don't want to blab on too much about it. We're just going to dive in and we are going to go over some predicted questions and we're going to go over so I'm seeing some requests for Rio. I'll try and do the most popular requests, so keep them coming in. But most importantly, we're going to go over some predicted questions or past questions so you can have an idea of what going on. I'm seeing the requests. So okay, we're seeing requests for Rio. We'll do the best. A request for London, loving it. Sorry about the lag again. Sorry. Yes, okay. Yes, okay, Bristol, I'm seeing these. I'll try and do the most. So by all of that, keep on coming in. But I'm going to share my screen with y'all. So you can see, I will like disappear for a second, but then I will magically reappear. Share. Okay, so we're going to be going over some human geography questions from paper 2, and we're going to go over what those different question words mean, so you can not make any silly mistakes in that exam. So there's always going to be, always look at the question words. So using the map, describe two differences. So with this kind of question, you need to you don't need to give any becauses. You just need to describe. So we just need to describe. So two differences, as we can see, there are more millionaire cities in Asia than Africa, and there are larger clusters of millionaire cities in parts of Asia, but most millionaire cities in Africa are on their own. Perfect. So describe questions, you just need to describe two differences. Again, we have another describe question, describe two patterns in this graph. So again, we can see that Germany is the country with the most hectares. Try and also use figures in these answers. So quote a figure from the graph. And then we can also see that the other cities have very little agricultural land, and that's due to urbanization. So next, we're going to go over how to structure one of the longer questions. Okay, I'm seeing requests for Bristol, London, Lagos. Great. I will do my best to cover as many of them as I can. So, to what extent do areas in lower income countries or newly emerging countries provide growing economies for people? Well, people were requesting Rio. I saw that. So we have a nice top level answer going over Rio. Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. So let's go over what this question is asking. To what extent do urban areas in lower income countries or newly emerging economies provide economic opportunities for people? So when you see to what extent, you've got to be thinking of positives and negatives. It's a 6-mark question. So I would say you want to be making 1 point for every 2 or 3 marks. So you want to make 2 or 3 good points in this. Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, you want to be really specific, give the city and the country provides economic opportunities to a large extent, to become a global city, major port, service industries, give examples of the industries of banking and finance. And then we want to give an advantage of those. So again, taxing these industries, we can employ more public service workers, bringing in a wide range of opportunities. So that is a way of providing economic opportunities to people, but it's to what extent. So that means we're going to have a however or something like that in our answer, really important. So however, unemployment rate is over 20% in the favelas, so not everyone is benefiting from economic opportunities in Rio. Always try and include, if you know any facts, try and include them. If you know close enough a fact, just put it in there, why not? So that is how you want to be structuring these top level answers. Okay, so next let's go over another longer answer question. So again, people were requesting Bristol, so I'm going to do this one. I saw Bristol come up a lot. I'm doing my best to keep an eye on the comments. Describe the environmental opportunities and challenges urban growth has brought to the UK city you have studied. So again, to get in the top band for this, you need to talk about opportunities and challenges. Other things you need to do to get that top band answer is apply your knowledge to the question and give some good specific examples. So we've got the way you want to be structuring this, you want to be using opportunities and challenges. So structure it into 2 paragraphs, one on opportunities, one on challenges. So again, we give some context. Bristol grew rapidly in the 18th century, major port, and has grown recently because it's a popular place for finance businesses to locate. Great. Environment, and so again, we talk about the challenges, environmental problems, and then how has it resolved them. So it's got an integrated transport system, which makes it easy to see public transport. Great. Again, try and reference specific places in your answer. So a good one with Bristol is replacing like the Temple Quarter with the Queen Square. So it's like a nicer environment to live in, and there's lots of nice green spaces. Okay. So again, when you are answering case study questions, go straight in there with that case study. Like, don't beat around the bush. We want to know where you're talking about. Go in. That's where you're getting the marks. That is how you're getting in that top band. Okay. So next we are going to go over, I think I disappeared again. Hey, I'm back. So again, just I really want to hone in on this point on question word because it comes up time and time again in the examiner reports that students aren't reading the question words correctly. This is a compare question, so it's compare the literacy rates in Africa and South America. So you need to talk about both in your answer. So again, we can see that the rates are generally higher in South America than in Africa. But this is a 2-mark question, okay? So when you're comparing things, you can see it's a 2-mark. You're going to get 1 point for your point for the for just saying what you can see on the graph. But you need to try and give like some exceptions or another point to get those 2 marks, okay? So think about how many marks are in the question and how you can use that to your advantage to know, like, okay, it's 2 marks, so I've probably got to do 2 questions. So I've got to do 2 points. So so we can see an exception in the far north and south of Africa. There are similar literacy rates to South America. Okay, so that's a nice way of comparing them. Compare, always mention both countries or both parts of the question, or you won't get those marks. So outline one disadvantage of a single measure of development, such as literacy rate. Now, this is a good point. You can see it's 2 marks. So when you give the disadvantage, you need to give an explanation to get that 2nd mark. Okay, so that's a good thing to remember. Now, table questions, it comes up a lot. Analyzing data is an important part of the assessment objective, so you need to be able to do it effectively. What conclusions can you draw about the quality of life between the 5 countries? So key things I would say for this, it's a comparison question because you're looking between the 5 countries. And you want to use this structure. You want to give a point, explanation, comparison, explanation. So PECE. So the point, so always quote figures when you are given a table or a graph. That is how you get the marks. You need to quote a figure. So in this example, the UK has a high HDI of 0.937, so high levels of education, income, and life expectancy. What does that mean? Because it says what conclusions can we draw? So conclusion means explain. So we need like a cute little because up in there. So that means most people have a good quality of life, good education, blah, 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 blah. Now, then we need to compare it because it's given us 5 countries and we need to talk about them all. So remember to compare it, and again, use figures, and don't be afraid to manipulate the figures. That's really going to take you into a higher level mark, is if you say that so like Zimbabwe to Nigeria is between 0.5 to 0.6. So it's a much lower HGI. That kind of figure manipulation, that even is going to get a little gong. Boom. Examiners are going to love it. Okay. So what do we do next? Let's go into like a longer question. I think will probably be good. So this is a good one. So this is a nice little 9 marker. We love a 9 marker question. So the question is, assess the effectiveness of growth. And people were asking about Uganda, so I thought this would be a good question to do. Assess the effectiveness of tourism in a low income or newly emerging economy on reducing the development gap. Well, how do we structure these 9 markers? Well, remember there's 3 marks for spelling and grammar available typically in the 9 marker question. So you need to have a good structure. You need to be writing in full sentences, using punctuation, and using specialist geography keywords. If you know the keyword for something, use it. That's how you're going to get in the top band for that spelling and grammar mark. Now, and breathe. The way you structure this, you're going to want to have an introduction and a conclusion. And again, sticking to our format, you want to be making like a good point for every 2. So we're going to make 3 nice points in here. Try and quote some figures if you can, and always give. If you're asking to assess something, it's also like that discussion question. So you need to give the positives and the negatives. So really good ways to structure that is trying to get some howevers into your answer. That's a good reminder. It's like, okay, it's saying assess. I need to use a however somewhere. I can't just paint one side of it. And the reason this is the top level answer is it's got a good structure. It's got some specifics. So it says where they fly in. They fly into Entebbe, into Uganda. They stay in hotels, and this all provides jobs for people. And again, we've got a nice example of the national parks, such as Murchison Falls. Give specific examples. That is what is going to get you in the top band for these questions, okay? But again, we always need to give a balanced argument. So however, some tourism TNCs, transnational corporations, bring in staff from other countries to do the well-paid jobs and give only low-paid jobs to the local people. And that's a sentence you can use for pretty much any case study. TNCs bring in staff from other countries to do well-paid jobs in a lot of countries that have growing tourism industries. Okay, so remember, give specifics in your case study. Get straight in there with the case study. You need to talk about the case study straight away. Don't forget about it. And give a balanced argument. You're assessing the effectiveness. So you've got to give pros and negatives. And so this is, this is an example of a 9-marker question, but 3 of those are for spelling and grammar. So you need to make your answer look nice and pretty. So have some cute little sentences going on, use some nice keywords. So again, in this one, we've got like the transnational corporations. That's a nice keyword. So again, that's what's going to be boosting up your answers. Okay, so we got some requests from this on Insta. Thank you for everyone who filled out the question on Insta. So development of nuclear power, so it produces a large amount of energy from small amounts of fuel and it doesn't cause acid rain. We hate acid rain. Again, another describe question. Look at the amount of marks that are available. If it's a 2-mark questions, you need to give 2 description points. So use those marks to help you. Don't just write they're all located near the point. Just be like, oh, this is 2 marks. I want both of those 2 marks. I'm greedy. Give me those marks. They're mainly found in the west of the country. Yes, they are. Fun fact. Didn't know that. Now, so again, we were having a lot of people asking about UK case studies. So let's do that. So describe how the UK's energy mix has changed and the environmental issues associated with this. So again, 6-mark point. So you're going to be making, again, 1 point for every 2 to 3 marks. And it's a describe question. So when we have a describe question, we don't want to be using because, okay? We're just describing a situation. We're describing what's going on. We're doing that little energy mix. But we need to answer both parts of the question to make sure what I used to do in the exam is when I wrote about how the energy mix has changed, I put a little tick above the change. And then when I'd written about the environmental issues, I put a little tick above that to make sure that I had answered all parts of the question. Because that's what is going to get you those marks. And again, we want to be specific. So we want to be using specific vocab. So this is a top level answer. I'm not going to dictate it to you. You got stuff to do. Pause the screen, read it. And this is a good example of how to structure a top level answer. Okay, so next we're going to go over we're going to go over another 6-marker answer and another case study. We're going to go over Kenya and explain how food security can be improved in an LIC or a newly emerging economy country. So again, we want to be making a point and an explanation. You want to be making a nice point for you want to be making a point for every 2 to 3 marks. So 2 or 3 good points is how you're going to get these 6 marks. Try and reference a specific project. So the Mikuni project in eastern Kenya is increasing food supplies using sand dams. They built a dam for each village, which means they can have more water to drink and use to grow crops and keep livestock. Trees are planted to reduce that soil erosion. We hate soil erosion. Soil erosion is bad. And some also provide food such as mangoes. I love a mango, even though they're really difficult to cut. Like it's really hard to peel a mango. I'm getting distracted, sorry. Crop yields have increased and food security has improved. Boom, key terminology. We love that. The sand dams are easy to maintain and so should last for many years. They're an example of an appropriate technology. Love that. We love appropriate technology. It's suited to the needs of the people, the needs of the community. They're able to use it. They're able to pass it on. It's great. It's amazing. It's appropriate. Haha. Okay, so we've still got 10 minutes left. So people that have been shouting out for case studies in the chat. So I saw Lagos come up a lot. So we can talk through Lagos, and we saw, so let's talk through some Lagos case studies. And I'm just going to see what else, if we've got any other ones that came up that are easily accessible, because you know Honey's got a time limit. Okay, let's do Lagos. So opportunities for urban growth in Lagos in Nigeria. So Lagos is a mega city, so the population is over 21 million. And And we did Bristol a little bit earlier, for those of you asking for Bristol. So we've covered a little bit about the regeneration in Bristol. So when this is done, just rewind and watch that. Maybe someone could even do like a cute little timestamp. So opportunities for urban growth in Lagos. So it's in Nigeria, newly emerging economic and the richest country in Africa. So it's the capital until 1991 and it's still a financial center of West Africa, rapidly growing, all of that stuff. So what has happened during the urban growth in Lagos? Well, there's better access to service and resources, so more healthcare centers and hospitals, more of the population have secondary education, access to electricity helps people create businesses and cook, access to safe water is provided thanks to water treatment plants. So lots of opportunities for growth. Better jobs, so construction jobs are common because of the rapid growth. So always just think about, okay, if a city is rapidly growing, what kind of jobs are going to be available? Good construction jobs. There's also going to be more business jobs because it's the financial center of West Africa. So lots of job in finance. It's home to two major ports, successful fishing industry. It's houses a lot of Nigeria's banks, manufacturing industries, and government departments. And it has an active film and music industry. The more you know. So that was a very quick run through of the opportunities for, or like the advantages that urbanization can bring, going over the Lagos case study. Now, there are, of course, some challenges of urban growth in Lagos. We always want to be balanced, okay? So to give a balanced argument, we need to talk about the positives and the negatives. So what are the economic challenges? There are too many migrants for the number of jobs. Remember, 275K migrants were arriving a day. So people tend to scavenging in rubbish dumps to try and make enough money to survive. So that is a challenge of rapid urban growth. Because people hear about, it's a pull factor, right? People hear about these amazing jobs, they leave their go to them. And also there are push factors. There are not many jobs available where they're living. So there's a lot of factors that can contribute to this rapid urban growth. So more than 60% of the 21 million residents live in slums. So always try and quota slums. So like you've got like the favelas in Brazil. Here we've got the slums. So Makoko is an example. And there's only one primary school, so it's very hard to get access to education. So think about, these are the common factors that apply to a lot of different case studies. And environmental challenges, because we've got such rapid growth, there's not going to be sanitation, there's not going to be effective rubbish delivery, rubbish removal, so there's going to be a lot of waste. So always just try and think about the wider scale impacts of rapid urban growth. So people are also asking for some UK city case studies. So let's do it. What are we waiting for? We've got another few minutes. So we're doing major cities in the UK. Let's go. So there's some nice major cities. We love it. So Manchester, I saw a couple people shouting out. So urban regeneration in New Islington. So this is a good case study. So in Manchester's inner city, there's an area called New Islington, which has been regenerated. So last minute case study, if you need a case study for regeneration. The Cardium estate was constructed in the 1960s to replace the terraces that used to house factory workers, and 50% of the houses in the estate were unoccupied or home to squatters by the mid-90s. Examples of the economic and social problems in the estate were unemployment, burglary, drug problems, and vandalism. Improvements: regenerated area, 1,700 new houses constructed, health center, vision hall, cafes. Ooh, I like a good cafe. Restaurants were added. I hope they're nice. Public transport links were improved by a new tram stop. You can get anywhere. It's the tram. The addition of an orchard. Love an orchard. I hope you can pick oranges in the summer. Eco park. Great. Sorry, my friend. If you can see that, Haywarner. And a football pitch have increased the attractiveness of the area. I am all about that orchard and that eco park. The football pitch, great if you want it. Honey, I'm not going to be there unless there's like a concert or something going on. So again, this is a good example of how you want to include specific examples in your regeneration topic. And yes, I'm reading out the text because this was a last minute request. So I didn't have a lot of time to prepare this. I was spending my time preparing predicted papers for people because they commented before the lesson. Lesson learned. This live is amazing for those of you asking, but we are coming to the end of it. So we ran over some case studies, we went over some predicted papers. The video will be uploaded when I end the stream. And if you do watch it back, speed it up because it will make it much more bearable. I would say I'm a bit sassy, maybe, not rude. I'm trying not to be rude. But thank you everyone for joining. Best of luck for your upcoming exams and studies. You guys have been working hard. Thank you for those who've joined the other live streams. Keep the requests coming in. We'll be doing these for the rest of the week. We'll try and make them as fun as possible. And the gong will feature, as always, as per normal. You're really, really welcome. You guys, again, look, there's lots of support going on in the groups, so you're helping each other out. It's a stressful time. Well done for getting through through your exam so far. You're so nearly done. It's so nearly done there. So keep up the hard work and best of luck. And I will see you on a live stream soon. Best of luck, guys, and see you very soon.